Okay, so ayahuasca. Let's talk about why I went on this retreat and my experience. So I'll talk a little bit about it, the things that I can remember. As I said, I wrote in my journal, and eventually I'll get to a point where I just read the journal so that I can share everything. But I'll talk about the highlights because that might be boring. This might be boring. I don't know. Anyway, so I went to a resort called Rhythmia. It's in Costa Rica. You fly into Liberia, and then it's about an hour and a half van ride to the resort. Absolutely beautiful, stunning. I decided to go there about 6 years ago. My chiropractor, who's actually an energy healer, got a postcard, and she doesn't even remember doing this, but I reminded her. She got a postcard from Rhythmia when they first opened, and in my appointment, she handed it to me and said, "Hey, I got this postcard, but I think it's for you." And so she gave it to me. So I said, okay. I always thought that I would go. I didn't know anything about plant medicine or ayahuasca, and here's one of those examples of when you're ready, the answers come. So I took the postcard, and I always kept it, thinking I would go, but it's very expensive, at least for me. I take a lot of vacations to very beautiful places, but typically I try to do it as economically as possible so I can go to as many places as I can. And luxury resorts don't fit that mold. So I didn't go, and I kept postponing it. Focused on work. Life was in the way, too expensive, don't have time. And but over the years, I started hearing more and more about plant medicines and ayahuasca in particular, and folks who had done it, and YouTubers that I watch, and it propelled their life greatly. And so I became more and more curious. And so then I had the time to go, and I had the money to go, but the pandemic came. So fast forward another 3 years, and I was turning 50, and I said, okay, I'm going to send myself on a luxury vacation, and anywhere in the world that I want to go. Where should I go? And I gave myself a budget, and I said, anything under this amount, I'll spend up to XYZ amount. I think it was $10,000, but it doesn't cost that much to go to Rhythmia for a week. But that was my budget. So I could go anywhere I wanted. Antarctica was an idea. That would be cool. And fully planning to go alone. But I was going somewhere, and I was going somewhere good. So I remembered the Rhythmia postcard, and I thought, oh, well, if I'm going to go on a trip, then maybe I should go on a trip. And, what are you waiting for? If I'm going to propel my life and explore new places, those places can be in your mind. Those places can be anywhere. And if I'm going to better myself, then why would I wait to do that? What am I waiting for? So I decided to go to Rhythmia, and had hoped that someone would go with me, but planned to go alone. And then fortunately, a friend, surprisingly, did go with me. And I was shocked because she is not spiritual at all. Not religious, not spiritual. She's also a chemistry major, undergrad. And but she was very, very much about the 3D and the only things that are real are things that I can touch, and everything else. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but along those lines. Everything else is really just fairy tales and stories. So I was surprised that she wanted to go. But she had researched it, and from the scientific perspective on the health benefits and the mental well-being benefits of DMT, which is what do they call it? The psychoactive ingredient of ayahuasca, is very beneficial for you mentally. So she wanted to go for that reason, which I totally appreciate and respect. And I think that she got some of what she wanted out of it. But again, I won't speak for her, but I did. And I wasn't even looking for really anything. But So decided to go to Rhythmia, and very excited for the journey. Flew down there. I didn't do much research at all because I didn't want anyone else's experiences to impact my experience. I was not prepared. She, however, was very prepared, which was somewhat helpful in that, different aspects of the experience I wasn't prepared for. She helped to guide me or enlighten me on, which is good. Just as far as what do you wear to the ceremonies, and it was 4 nights in a row that we did, 4 ceremonies in a row, which I didn't know. I thought it was just one, but that's fine, right? So again, the answers will come. I didn't need all the answers. I didn't need all the information. I just needed some, and she was there to give me some. I think going into things sometimes, at least for me, innocently like a child is better, because you don't have any expectations, positive or negative. You also don't have, I definitely didn't want the negative expectations. I didn't want any fear to influence me, and I didn't want, on the flip side too, if you hear about people that have amazing experiences, then maybe you have a great experience, but you get disappointed because you don't think your experience is as great as someone else's. So that was my plan. So we went down to Rhythmia, and it does feel, and some people have told me that this sounds like cultish. And when we got in the van, there was like a video that came down, and they told us about our, welcome to Rhythmia. You're going to have such great experiences, and blah, blah, blah. And, immediately I was like, oh, this is, I feel like I'm on a movie now. This is a little weird. But they're very adamant on the fact that this is not a cult. This is not, we are not your gurus. We are people just like you, with fears and anxieties, and they freely tell you about their journey and how they're seemingly messed up, or seemingly their struggles, and their difficult path, and the painful path that not only painful to themselves but painful to others brought them to this place. And they also wanted to share that, and that's why Rhythmia exists, because the founder and the owner, his journey is quite remarkable, and it's a beautiful thing that he was able to create this amazing space and this amazing place that honestly helps so many people. Do your research if you're interested, but veterans with PTSD go here. They offer, and they try to offer 30% of each week is scholarship recipients, which means they get to go free. So it's people with a very traumatic experiences and past. They try to offer them to go for free, and that's a beautiful thing. They say that one ayahuasca experience is tantamount to 10 years of therapy, and I can definitely appreciate that. One of the sayings is, your issues are in your tissues. And if you do yoga, which I do, and my first yoga class, someone said, well, your relationships issues are in your hips. Oh, guess what I said? We're going to get some flexible hips. And I have some pretty flexible hips. The chiropractor / energy practitioner that I go to also uses a technique called NET. And I forget what that stands for, but you can Google it. And that is also about getting out some stuck emotions out of your tissues, your organs, and your muscles and your joints, and as a way to physically help you with any symptoms you might be having.